Always great to check in with the head coach of the UIC Flames, Luke Yaklich, here on another edition of Coach's Connection. And Coach, you got your first year under your belt as a head coach of a collegiate basketball program. I'm sure that's a goal you've been trying to attain for quite some time. So by the end of it, what's your favorite part about being a head coach?
Well, I tell you, Joe, it's been, first of all, it's been awesome doing these things each and every week with you and connecting with the fans. And, obviously there's a lot to discuss during this season, just in terms of being the first year, but then navigating everything that our team went through. And that's, I think this, you learn about your team. So you take a look at and making an impact on a day-to-day basis with our guys, and then helping them through the academic part, and then trying to get them bought in and doing everything on the court that we need to and prepared for each week. And then the changes with everything. You just had to be, you had to be adaptable. And the number one thing that we learned, I think throughout this first year is you just have to be able to respond. And that's a key word that we talked about in the summer. And then it was a word that our guys I said, we're going to be able to respond on the court to adversity. Nobody knew the adversity to the extent of it that you deal with off the court, from individual injuries to COVID, to, things outside of our control with each individual player. And then just the overall, stress of the school year. So I think I learned a lot about our team and our program, and they learned, again, a lot about our coaching staff, and we grew as a team because of that. Despite the struggles, especially toward the end of the year, it was a year of a lot of growth for a lot of different players, and a growth for our coaching staff, and then laying the foundation for where we want to be going forward and how to approach that. So all in all, it's you want to be playing right now, Joe, and you want to be having a chance to have these guys experience something that changes your life forever. From a basketball perspective, going to the NCAA tournament and winning in March. Didn't happen, but we're ready to bounce back and respond in the offseason.
Yeah, so you talk about that growth, and obviously a basketball team is very different from the first game to the very last game. So with all that growth, what was your favorite thing that this team progressed with throughout this season, whether it was a basketball thing or not? What was the best thing from this team that you saw change or evolve or grow throughout the year?
There's several layers to that, Joe, and it's a great question. I think from a off the court standpoint, we've have our exit interviews with all of our guys at the end of the year, and we asked the guy what part of our culture, what sort of thing you really grew and you took hold of this year. And 14 out of the 16 guys said this first was family atmosphere. And then the other two guys listed it second. So we clearly have, our connection off the court, and what we want our culture to be about is staying together and being that family. And a lot of that had to do with, again, the different experiences that we went through as a basketball program, and then each individual went through that strengthened that bond. So that from an off the court standpoint, you're really happy when guys say that, because it's something that we tried to promote, and it's not always easy. Joe, when you go through struggles, you go through a 7-game losing streak, it tests it tests all of that stuff. So you say family, but it's not family until you can go through something tough together. And that's something that our guys did well, and we grew with. And then from the basketball standpoint, just the overall, like our culture on the court, defensively, we had our ups and downs. Offensively, same thing. We never really developed any consistency in the way I wanted to, where you just had this slow and steady growth and just had little peaks and valleys. But the main thing from a basketball perspective, I think our practice habits and how we conduct ourselves on the court, and the level of competition, the level of spirit that's got to be played with to win in this league consistently each and every night, particularly in Friday, Saturday games. Like, it's a whole new dynamic that took a lot of getting used to. And some teams, handled it better than others, and some weekends were better than others. But that consistency of our culture like from our language, how we speak on the court, how we talk on the court, but those practice habits and what it takes to win. And then learning from those, Joe, was really, really important. And I think each of our guys, when you have the reflection piece of, okay, take 10 days off and let's have an individual meeting. A lot of the guys talked about those lessons that you want to grasp and learn in the moment, but you just in the moment, you weren't able to apply them as well as you wanted to. But now looking holistically back at it from a bird's eye view, I think there's a lot of growth to be done that was done on behalf of our players in terms of our just overall, this is the foundation of where we are, and this is how we're going with our defense, offense, and then how we're going to develop and head into our off season. So really excited about it. I mean, it's you have to keep the big picture, and I have a hard time at times keeping track of the big picture. But in the grand scheme of things, like we weathered a bad storm, and we did not play good basketball at times, and that those stretches of bad basketball really cost us. And I think that's probably an on the court thing that we're going to take over, that all the guys talked about, is that those habits that you let creep in that don't necessarily translate to winning. If you're playing good teams, it's those 6 to 8 minutes that they're going to bite you. And I think there'll be a presence about us on the court from the summer and into the fall, where those lessons that are buried now in the basketball heart and minds of what that felt like, those will come out. And I think the leadership that we're going to have within the program next year, as a result of the things we tried to teach our guys and what they went through this year, that's another element of growth that I think is going to really play a key role, particularly with guys like Jamie and Mike, who have, they're wanting and desiring to come back. And it wasn't like 12 hours after we lost to Youngstown State. Mike and Jamie both texted me out of the blue, I'm coming back, and we're excited about it and we want to dig in. So yeah, you have that, Joe. It's like you just have to keep the proper perspective. And I think the main thing is that there's a lot of growth in a lot of different areas with a lot of different individual people on our team.
I want to go back a little bit to the beginning part of your answer. It's kind of no surprise that the majority of the team would say the aspect they enjoyed the most was family first. I mean, right before this Zoom call started, you adjusted the picture of your kids behind on the back wall. I can hear the silverware hitting the dinner plate. I mean, that speaks volume to me in the background.
No doubt.
Yeah,
I'm at my mom and dad's down in LaSalle, Peru. So those are all the grandkids, my nieces my nieces in the background, and then our kids off to the right. So it's a family affair, and that's the thing. Like Joe, just not having family at games, and then not having wife and daughter coming into practices, or being awkward when you're there because of all of the restrictions. It's going to be fun next year. And I really feel for like the seniors this year, and then just in general, everybody that didn't get to experience that from the family side. It's what student athletes went through this year, Joe, is will be talked about for a while, be written about by a lot of different people. But what our guys did and going through this, it's that no one understands it. We don't even understand as coaches exactly what they went through. We try to do our best to understand, but that family thing where you're in it with 16 guys, and there's really the whole world is shut out to you. And for most of it, if you don't have that family, holy cow, how bad could that get? If you really don't feel connected within that little bubble that you have. So it's what I'm most proud of our guys for throughout the whole season. It was tough. It was tough mentally, physically, emotionally, and socially, the whole bit.
Well, number one, your folks' home decor is great, by the way.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate you allowing us into the Yaklich senior household.
It's life on the farm.
All right, last question. And you mentioned, the inability for fans to get to be at Credit Union One Arena this past year. So I'm going to put you down for summarizing it all in one word. You can elaborate on it after, but what is in one word, what Flames fans can expect when they hopefully are able to come to Credit Union One Arena next year? What will they see on the court, and what will Flames basketball be in one word? You can elaborate on it after, but in one word.
I'm going to, Joe. I'm going politics, competitive toughness.
Okay. All right. Competitive toughness. So UIC Flames fans, enjoy all off season long. We'll have more content here on uicflames.com, but stay tuned for the 2021-2022 season with competitive toughness promised by head coach Luke Yaklich. I'm Joe Brand. Next time.
Joe, thanks. Appreciate everything that you've done along the way. The coverage has been awesome, and we're looking forward to putting that grit and that toughness on full display next year. Guys are really excited. Thanks to all the Flames fans out there who followed along, and looking forward to having a couple of these conversations hopefully over the summer, Joe.
Sounds great. We'll see you then.
All right. Take care.